Good afternoon, and welcome to WMNR's Fine Arts Forum, where we have an opportunity to speak with people in the arts and people who are in the news. This is Parker Prout, your studio host here for Fine Arts Forum, and today I'm very pleased to welcome pianist Joel Fan, who will be performing in the very near future with the Greater Bridgeport Symphony. Joel, hello and welcome.
Hi, Parker. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. And in fact, on my show on Thursday, I was able to share with my listeners some of your great music. In particular, the Hinastera Sonata was very well received. I got a call or two, and they loved it.
Great. Yeah, well, that's one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah. Joel, tell us a little bit about your beginnings, where you're from, and how music came into your life.
Well, I was born in New York City, and my parents are from Taiwan. And they had a great love of classical music. And I remember, from the time I was 3, 4, 5, waking up to great recordings that my parents would play. For example, Alfred Brendel, Glenn Gould, and even my future teacher, Leon Fleischer, they had recordings of. And so it was a wonderful music-loving family, even though my parents are not musicians.
Right. And so you became a student pretty early on in your life?
Oh, yeah. I think my parents bought into the belief that classical music is good for brain development.
It's good for the soul as well.
Good for the soul, and they loved it. And so, yeah, they put me and my brother and my sister all on the piano, and we proceeded to practice and do our thing. So I took to it. I really liked it. Although I do remember my mom and dad sometimes having to make me practice. And I think I didn't really want to practice sometimes.
As a former student, I know that very, very well. Our piano was in the basement, and I felt like I was going down into the dungeon to practice all the time. So
it can be painful at times. But then you realize that actually that's just part of it.
Sure. When were your early public performances?
Well, actually, the one that I really remember is when I was 11, getting to perform at Avery Fisher Hall with the New York Philharmonic.
Wow.
And that was really, really exciting. And I played Mozart Concerto 488, A major. And I still remember walking on stage in Avery Fisher Hall, looking at the back and thinking to myself, wow, this place doesn't look that big. So that was just a perspective. And then I remember going back there a few years later when I was 14 and doing some additional concerts and also having the same reaction.
Right. Yeah.
And actually what I realized is that actually a lot of times concert halls actually look smaller from the stage.
That's interesting. It's an interesting observation.
Than they do from the audience. And I think that's because of the way they're designed. They are designed to carry the sound waves maybe as short a distance as possible to the listeners, and so visually it's very interesting.
Yeah. It's I guess many of us, as long as your nerves are under control, it looks fine. Otherwise, it's going to look like the Colosseum or something like that. But I know what you're saying. Well, that's a wonderful way to begin, especially for a New Yorker.
Well, yeah, I was going to actually add that ironically, sometimes the more nerve-wracking performances come from playing for fewer people as opposed to more people. So sometimes it's maybe just like when I was a student, actually, I would enjoy actually getting a friend of mine to come into my practice room and literally sit right over my right hand just to make me really uncomfortable to practice.
That's great. Very good. Well, we're going to get into more of your formative years and talk about some of your mentors in just a moment. First, we're going to listen to some of Joel's artistry, and then we'll be back and we'll talk a bit more about some of the key influences on his career. And here's a piece by the Brazilian composer Ernesto Nazareth that Joel is going to perform for us. It's called Vem sa Branquinha, which loosely translated from the Portuguese means, "Come hither, little girl." A rhythmic Brazilian tango by Ernesto Nazareth, played for us by Joel Fan.